Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw, the post SummerSlam edition, August the 24th, 2020. Another week of live streams. Every day this week there will be a new live stream all the way up until Sunday, which is another pay-per-view, WWE Payback. NoDQ.com will have coverage just like with SummerSlam. Shout out to the chat room. Thank you for tuning in live. Thank you to everybody watching this live stream. If you're watching live and you submit a super chat, please stick to the topic. Hashtag stick to the topic. Let's go ahead and get started. We had a recap of Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre cut a promo, and right away, it was off to an ominous start for WWE. There was a picture of Chris Benoit that somebody put on their webcam screen. Yeah. Whew, it was only a matter of time, right? But anyways, Drew McIntyre cut this promo, and he talked about how while Randy Orton was his biggest challenge to date, he beat Randy Orton at the pay-per-view because he was hungrier, he worked harder, and Randy Orton doesn't know what it's like to struggle for a paycheck. Drew brought up how Randy won the greatest wrestling match ever. Since Drew beat Randy with a wrestling maneuver, what does that make Drew? Drew then said if Randy Orton wants another match, he'll be happy to send his ass to Claymore Country. Drew's music hit, he walked up the ramp, and then he was jumped from behind by the Viper Randy Orton. They fought into the gorilla position area, and Orton went after Drew's bad eye, which he gave the thumb in the eye to on the pay-per-view. And then Orton backed up, charged at Drew, and he punted the wall. Well, he was supposed to punt Drew McIntyre, but let's just say the punt made as much of a connection as Shane McMahon's punches. Orton went for a second one, and that too did not hit the mark. Like, it didn't even look like it connected with him. But nonetheless, Drew sold the punts. He was laid out. This is how you know we're doing live TV, pal, when they do the two punts and neither of them look like they connected. TJS with a $1 super chat left a money icon. Thank you for that, TJS. And Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat says, just want to say I'm safe with everything in Wisconsin. Glad to hear that, Power Packers 90, and thank you for the super chat. We had Nia Jax backstage talk about how she's reinstated now. Shayna Baszler confronted her, and they exchanged some words and insults. Shayna referred to Nia as Haystacks Calhoun, who was this very old school wrestler, 70s, early 80s, somewhere around that period. Very big guy, so making fun of her weight. And basically, you had Nia, as her comeback, making fun of Shayna for being ugly, I guess, saying that she was a reject from the Addams family. Yeah. We had Shayna Baszler versus Bayley in a one-on-one match. And Hoof Hearted sent in a $5 super chat, but hashtag stick to the topic he did not do. So that topic will be thrown to the end of the video so I could stay on topic. We have Bayley and Shayna Baszler. Thank you, Tic Tat Tat, for the shame. Everybody shame Hoof Hearted for not sticking to the topic. Bayley stalled on the outside, of course, as the heels do. And then Nia Jax ran down and pulled Shayna off the apron, causing a disqualification. Nia and Shayna started to go at it. Sasha and Bayley were egging them on and trying to get them to fight each other. And then Nia and Shayna realized what was going on, and they turned their attentions to Bayley and Sasha. Bayley and Sasha, they done goofed. Oofman Entertainment with the $2 super chat. He says, do kids today know who the Addams Family are? Well, wasn't there a new Addams Family movie that came out like a year or two ago? I think there was a reboot, so maybe. I mean, of course, people remember the 60s TV show. I'm old enough to remember the 60s TV show, but you had the 90s movies, which I think more of the current generation would be familiar with, and then, of course, that newer reboot. We had the KO show, first time in the Thunderdome, and his special guest was Aleister Black, who was dressed in all black. He's Aleister Black. He's the man in black. And his eye was patched up from the attack several weeks ago by Murphy. KO wanted to show the footage, but he was concerned it would upset Aleister. Aleister said, go ahead. He's seen it before many times. The footage was shown. KO tried to give a pep talk to Aleister. Aleister then started acting like his eye was hurt. KO went to check on him, and then Aleister turned heel. Aleister attacked KO and laid him out with the Black Mass. Looks like what The Fiend did to Seth Rollins is now The Fiend or Seth Rollins doing things to Aleister Black. Same kind of effect. And I guess this is something for Aleister. I don't know if it's going to pan out for him, but hey, at least we're getting some kind of change with his character, which I don't really think it was needed. I think if you had just pushed Aleister in the same way that he got over in NXT, he would be fine. But we'll get to that later as far as not going with what worked in NXT. Oh boy, I got some stuff to say. Just stay tuned. And then backstage, Bayley cut a promo saying that after Sasha Banks defeats Asuka, they will take care of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. It was announced for the Payback pay-per-view, which is this Sunday. We are going to have a tag team titles match. Bayley and Sasha will defend against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. So they're a tag team now, and I guess Shayna is a babyface. It's pretty strange, but there you go. That's what happens when you have no tag teams. You got to throw people together. But hey, maybe they'll be like Cesaro and Sheamus, the odd couple getting together, and they'll become a great tag team. Not really betting on it, but hey, maybe it'll happen. You never know. Never say never. We had Shelton Benjamin versus Tozawa versus R-Truth in a 24/7 championship match. And there was a fourth person in this, and wow, I forgot to write down the fourth person's name. Get this, I messed up my notes. I wrote Shelton versus Benjamin versus Tozawa versus R-Truth. I forgot who the fourth guy was. I'm getting old, guys. Somebody throw me that fourth person because I'm totally blanking out on who it was. Anytime now, we're live. All right, as soon as I start talking, somebody will say it in the chat room. Cedric! Thank you, Dr. NXT Scorpio. Cedric Alexander was the fourth guy. Wow. That's bad. I was going to try to remember and not point out my mistake in the notes, but I was like, whatever. It's too funny to ignore. I seriously forgot Cedric was in this match. So anyways, and I think he was the champ, wasn't he? Anyways, who cares? I don't care about the 24/7 title, so there you go. And yes, Hoofman, we are definitely getting old. Shelton Benjamin, he ended up throwing Tozawa over the top onto the Ninjas, but they caught their leader, their fearless leader, and then the Ninjas grabbed Benjamin and Tozawa, pinned R-Truth to win the championship, and then they ran away. Don't care. Really don't care about the 24/7 title. We had Randy Orton come out for a promo to explain his punts to Drew McIntyre. He said he promised everyone he was going to take out McIntyre and win the title, but he did not do it. And he said that the only reason that Drew gave him a title rematch was out of pity, and that's why he attacked Drew and gave him the 2 kicks to the skull. We had Keith Lee come out for his main roster debut, and it started off promising, the bask in his glory, and then they cut away to new music, and it sucked. It was this generic rock song. Any wrestler on the roster could have this entrance music. It was that generic. No character to it whatsoever. How could WWE do this? We were all taking bets. How long would it take for WWE to screw up Keith Lee on the main roster? First night in, you change his music, which was one of the best themes in NXT. Keith Lee did his own rapping in the song. It was a badass song. And I remember at the NXT live event I went to on March 7th, right before the pandemic shut everything down, everybody in the crowd loved Keith Lee's entrance theme. When he came out, everybody was singing to it. Like, how stupid. Why would you do this? Why? TJS with the $2 super chat says, WWE screwed up Lee again. I never saw that coming. Did you? I mean, we were all concerned, but you get rid of one of the things that got him over? Why? And Tony H with the $2 super chat says, hashtag bring back Keith Lee's music. Yeah, I definitely second that. And I was hoping maybe later in the show he would come out to his old theme and people would notice the negative reaction on social media. But nope, he came out later and had the same crappy music. So anyways, Lee confronted Orton and said that Orton has a lot of nicknames, but Keith is limitless. And since Randy is looking for a fight, he is stepping up to the plate. Orton said, maybe later, and took off. And they did have the match later, which was what I was alluding to with the coming back out and still having the crappy music. By the way, this Monday Night Raw, according to PW Insider, was changed for the most part at the last minute. Literally less than an hour before Raw was going on the air, Vince McMahon apparently changed up most of the show. And this has been an ongoing thing in WWE, it seems, where every week there are script changes, and it's a mess. It's definitely a mess. And I did enjoy the Thunderdome crowd they add to the show, even though we had some questionable appearances, like with Chris Benoit. You had Super Mario make an appearance. Game Changer Wrestling, the indie promotion, got a plug. And I think there was an MJF 2020 sign that was displayed on somebody's screen. So we did have some fun moments with the crowd, and the people were reacting accordingly. You had the piped-in audience. It's fine. It's not, like I said, not what it was before the pandemic, but at least it's something. We had Charlie Caruso asking Zelina Vega again about the food poisoning, and Zelina said that the footage did not prove anything, but then Angel Garza chimed in and did not help Zelina's case, and she got mad at him. We had Garza versus Montez Ford of the Street Profits. Profits once again had their solo cup confetti entrance. And Ford jumped off the top rope, got hit with a drop kick. And then later on during the match, we had Ivar come out. For some reason, that Bachelorette actress is still on Monday Night Raw. Why, I have no idea. But she was out there. Ivar came out with a turkey leg, and she was very impressed by this. I'm sure this works in real life. You know, this is how all the guys get the girls. You know, you give them a turkey leg, and they're sold. But anyways, Ivar took her away. Angel got pissed off, and Montez Ford took advantage, hit the big splash to pick up the victory. Kind of a dumb storyline, but whatever. And backstage, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler talked about their championship match at Payback this Sunday. And Nia said that they'll prevail as long as Shayna follows her lead. Shayna responded by slapping her. There you go. There's the build-up for the pay-per-view. We have Bianca Belair backstage with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, and that set up a tag team match, the three of them against the Iconics and Zelina Vega. And decent match here. Bianca Belair, basically a showcase for her. She picked up the victory with the kiss of death. We had Mark Henry make a special appearance. And before I get to that, Noah Foster, who was a WWE fan, a virtual fan tonight, he sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Noah. He says, I never felt like I was being programmed more than doing the Thunderdome. Oofa. Yeah, that's apparently what WWE has been doing as far as coaching people when to boo and when to cheer, which I understand because of the time delays and just making sure that people react accordingly. It looks good on TV, and yeah, to me it's not optimal, but I think it's the best WWE can do. Other than, like I suggested, bring back the PC guys. Instead of having them in the Raw Underground segments, get them back out there at ringside. Don't have the plexiglass. I mean, if everybody's tested, then I think you're fine without the plexiglass. But yeah, I think if you had them out there making the actual reactions and then you had a mix of everything, it would be fine. I mean, there's definitely some tweaks WWE can make to it, but I think it's been improving with each show. Of course, there's still that fear that something really bad is going to be displayed on screen. Obviously, Chris Benoit is not something that's going to get somebody arrested or anything, but I fear like it's coming. Like one of these times we're going to see a pornographic image on the screen. So Mark Henry introduced or officiated this arm wrestling contest between Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews. The two of them have their U.S. title match this Sunday, so this was a setup for that. And before the match, Ricochet and Cedric were backstage, and MVP confronted Cedric about losing the 24/7 title match. Ricochet tried to get MVP to go away. I wonder if we're going to get a repeat of the Tatanka and Lex Luger storyline from '94, where it looks like Cedric is going to join MVP, but it's actually Ricochet that joins MVP. Maybe we'll get a recreation of that. We had this arm wrestling contest, which was very brief. It wasn't those extended contests where the heel keeps stalling for time. Lashley did it one time, and then he stuck his foot under the table, which is against the arm wrestling rules, according to the Arm Wrestling Commission of America. I don't know. I just made that up. I'm guessing it's a real rule. And then Apollo saw this and stomped on Lashley's foot and quickly put his arm down to win the match. And then Apollo got beat down afterwards. Then Well, actually, Lashley tried to attack Apollo. Apollo actually got the best of him. And then Apollo did a dive to the Hurt Business, took them out, and managed to escape with his championship. I have my prediction, but I will wait till we do the video. We're going to be doing it on Saturday. I'm not a fan of doing the predictions so close to the pay-per-view, but because of the circumstances here, we don't know the full card yet. I'm guessing we'll know the rest of the matches on Smackdown. We do know that Roman Reigns will be challenging for the Universal Championship in a triple threat. Him, Braun Strowman, and The Fiend will compete this Sunday. But again, we will do predictions on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, on the eve of the pay-per-view. So stay tuned for that. And by the way, you guys can pick up No DQ merchandise over at nodq.com/merch. Just a quick plug for that. We had Charlie Caruso interview the Mysterio family. Angie, Ray's wife, was once again there. Dominic said he was terrified at SummerSlam, but his family gave him the courage. And Ray said that the family gives each other strength, and that's something that Seth doesn't understand yet. One day Seth will know what he's truly done when he's messed with the Mysterio family, because he'll have a family of his own. Ray said that his son became a man at SummerSlam, and he'll be damned if Seth Rollins ruins their first moment together as a tag team on Raw. We had Lana and Natalya do an in-ring promo. They were all dressed up. They were paying tribute to the career of Mickie James, basically saying it's the retirement of the chick with the kick. Natalya said she worked very hard to make this highlight reel, which ended up having no footage whatsoever. Ouch, that was pretty harsh. And then Mickie James ran down, shoved Natalya, and gave the chick kick to Lana. And that was the whole segment. Rob Klein with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Rob, fellow No DQ panelist, says, Dominic Mysterio sucks. Wow. Well, I'm curious to know your opinion a little bit more detailed. So maybe we can get Robbie Vice on the No DQ review tomorrow night. Let me know, Rob. We haven't had you on in a while. Let's get your thoughts. We had Bobby Lashley enter the Raw Underground room, which is now at the Amway Center. It was clearly a different location. Lashley beat up a guy, and then Dolph Ziggler wanted to fight. And Lashley basically won. He knocked Ziggler off the ring, and Ziggler took a bump into the wall, and that was the end of him. And then we went back to the ring for Randy Orton versus Keith Lee. As I mentioned earlier, Keith Lee has this crappy new music. I was hoping maybe WWE would call an audible and change it, but nope. And also, he's wearing a shirt and wearing like shorts somewhat similar to Samoa Joe. I guess, I don't know if it was Vince's call, but that would be my guess, that Vince felt he needs to cover up more. Whatever. He was fine in NXT. I don't know why we needed the change with him. Lee showed off his power and agility, and Byron Saxton screwed up. This was not the best debut for Keith Lee. Not only did they change his music, change his attire, but then twice Byron Saxton refers to him as Heath Lee. I guess he's a hybrid of Heath Slater and the man formerly known as Keith Lee, the man we knew and loved in NXT. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Dominic has more charisma than Mr. Jobber Ricochet. And Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, I finally agree with Rob on something. Wow, there you go. Rob, somebody agrees with you. How about that? Randy Orton got the upper hand, and then all of a sudden Drew McIntyre showed up, attacked Orton, causing a DQ. McIntyre was okay. Backstage, he cut a promo saying that he did not need Keith Lee to fight his battles. Yes, he was hurting, but before he could finish his promo, Randy Orton jumped him and hit him with a third punt, which looked a little bit better than the first two at least. And then later on, Charlie Caruso had an update from outside the trainer's room saying that there was concern about a fractured skull and bleeding to the brain. I guess it made sense for Drew to come back from the two punts because last week Shawn Michaels came back from one. He got up. Drew's got to be able to take at least one, if not two. So maybe that's why it needed to be three in order for Drew to be in rough shape. Just sucks they watered down the punt so badly after last week. Uthman says he should have a concussion. I agree. He should have one after one, damn it. DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, like the backslide pin from last night, Randy never saw it coming. LOL, too funny, man. We had Sasha Banks versus Asuka in a rematch from SummerSlam, a lumberjack match. Sasha was having issues with the lumberjacks, the babyface side at least. Sasha ended up jumping off the apron. Asuka moved and the Riot Squad members got hit. Asuka then tried to go through the heel lumberjacks to get at Bayley. Sasha attacked Asuka, got her back in the ring, and then Sasha asked for a steel chair. Bayley went for the chair, but then Shayna Baszler attacked Bayley. Sasha got distracted, and Asuka put on the Asuka lock. Sasha Banks once again taps out. Still your Raw Women's Champion, Asuka. And a little bit more build-up for the tag team match this Sunday. We had Drew McIntyre taken out of the building in an ambulance off to a local medical facility. And then Keith Lee cut a promo saying that Drew McIntyre is one of the toughest men he's ever known, and he'll be okay. However, he cannot say the same for one Randy Orton. And it was officially announced this Sunday, a rematch, Randy Orton versus Keith Lee once again. Please, if there is a God, can we have the old Keith Lee music back? Uthman, make it happen, my man. Say a prayer so we can get that song back. We had Bobby Lashley versus Cedric the Entertainer. So entertaining, I forgot that he was the fourth participant in that 24/7 match from earlier. It was Lashley and Cedric in the Raw Underground match in another room of the Thunderdome. Lashley beat him up, of course. Ivar and Eric came in, started fighting the Hurt Business. There was a big brawl, and the Hurt Business stood tall in the end of the Raw Underground segment. The Raw Underground has done nothing for me. Like, to me, it serves no purpose now. At least the first 2 weeks, it looked like there were a couple of guys that were maybe getting some exposure and could get a push out of it. But now, those guys are forgotten about. It's just Dolph Ziggler, Hurt Business, Ivar and Eric. I mean, to me, it's a waste of time. Time to drop it. I've been saying that about the 24/7 title, and it sticks around like a bad pimple or something. You just can't get rid of it. You had our main event match, the Mysterios, Rey and Dominic versus Seth Rollins and Murphy. Mysterios wasted no time. They went after Rollins and Murphy before the match could even begin. After the commercial, the bad guys got the upper hand on Rey. Dominic tagged in, did some lucha, some good lucha stuff. He hit a spinning DDT on Dominic. Dominic hit Dominic. Dominic hit Murphy with the spinning DDT, and Rollins broke up the pinfall attempt. And then Rey Mysterio tagged back in. And then Murphy came back in, and then He was set up for the 619, double 619 by the Mysterios onto Murphy. Then the lights started flickering and Dominic was thrown off by this. Ray was somewhere else. Rollins took advantage of the situation, shoved Dominic off the top rope, and then all of a sudden, Retribution showed up. Rollins and Murphy fled the scene. Ray ran into the ring to try and shield his son. Retribution came down with fury, beating down the Mysterios, laying them out. They picked up Ray on the outside and threw him into the post like a lawn dart. Very similar to what Kevin Nash did to Rey Mysterio in '96. Not nearly as memorable, though, but they still did it. And Retribution stood tall. There was like five of them this time. One of them, or two of them, were like less than 5 feet tall. So we're back to having the little versions of Retribution. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, will the Mysterios become tag team champions soon? They might as well, because there's not a lot of options for the Street Profits at this point. Although, would it be face versus face? That's the question. That's why I think Garza and Andrade should have won the titles. Maybe they still will. Because you could have Andrade and Garza versus the Mysterios. A lot of good lucha things would be in that match for sure. TJS with a $2 super chat says, just tweeted you change.org petition for Keith Lee's theme. Well, Tyler, if a petition to fire Velveteen Dream is not going to work, I'm not sure a petition for Keith Lee going back to his old music will work. But hey, any little bit might help. Guess we'll see if it can make any kind of a difference whatsoever. And Hoof Hearted with his $5 super chat from earlier. I'll read that now. He says, I totally thought Dominic was the leader of Retribution for a second there. I did not. I mean, that would be the most ridiculous swerve of all swerves. I mean, that sounds like something Vince Russo would come up with just to say, you never saw it coming. And I'm sure Rob Klein and Virtue will be thrilled that I'm making another Vince Russo reference, but there you go. I mean, WWE did a stupid review, too, when Rikishi was the driver, the guy that hit Austin. Like, that made no sense to me when that happened. They tried to explain it, that he did it for The Rock, he did it for the people, and I just did not buy it. Oh, Rob Klein says Russo had 3 good ideas and 500 bad ideas. Well, there you go. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, who do you want the leader of Retribution to be? I don't know, because I really don't care about the faction. I mean, it has to be somebody that makes sense, somebody who's frustrated. But who would that be? It's got to be a big star, but it needs to be somebody that would have a legitimate reason to be upset with WWE. And is WWE going to break the fourth wall? And to what degree? Like, they got to come up with something that makes sense and have it be somebody who's got some star power. It cannot be like aces and eights. It's got to be a really big name that's running the show. But then again, they got to make these guys more credible, because then the leader of Retribution looks like a fool if these guys are just a bunch of clowns. Anyways, what did you guys think of Raw this week? I thought it was interesting to watch, and the crowd did help, but I still thought it was a bit of a mess. I mean, the whole story about the last minute changes, it really showed here. It felt like a show that was thrown together, and they got a pay-per-view this Sunday. They got to rush that and build up matches for that with little build. It kind of felt like a disorganized train wreck. So entertainment value, I liked it, but I'm going to give it a C- this week. Tic Tat Tat gives it a B-. Kev gives it a B-. Snipe Rider gives it a C-. Dan the Man gives it an F. Vic gives it a C. Rob Klein with a C+, Terry with a B-, and Dr. NXT Scorpio with a C, D. Ross 2 with a C-, and Me Custom says C- is generous. And the Game is on 100 also with a C-. Ethan Cruz gives it a D. Wow. And Matt Helms also with a C-. So that was Raw, everybody. We got the No DQ review coming up next. So make sure you guys tune in. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Wednesday is NXT. Thursday, AEW. Friday, Smackdown. Saturday, predictions for Payback. And then Sunday, Payback recap. A lot going on. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Stay positive. Be safe. And I will see you guys